Hey everyone, welcome back to the range. My name is Matt, also known as the King of Armor Destruction, Armor Wizard Zap, also known as Mr. Getting Eaten by Mosquitoes because there's a lot of pop-up showers today and I'm trying to get this armor test done, so by gosh, we're gonna do it. From AceLink, this is their level 4 offering, single curve. In full transparency, AceLink sent this armor over for me to demo with no strings attached. I do have an active affiliate link set up with them, meaning that if you click on the sales link that I have in the description below, it earns me a sales commission, and what I do with that is I put it right back in the channel. I'm not here to push sales to you guys, although in the grand scheme of things, any type of content on social media is always an attempt to sell you things. I'm here to give you guys cold hard data to help make better buying decisions. This single curve level 4 plate weighs 6.810 pounds or 3.089 kilograms, is approximately 945 thousandths thick or 24.005 millimeters. As I mentioned, it is single curve, so you can see just that one gentle rolling curve there. Typically with a multi-curve plate, then the curve goes this way. Now, if this is the first time you're viewing my YouTube channel, here comes the long-winded speech. Over here on my channel, we do all of our body armor demos completely different than everyone else on YouTube. We're after worst case scenario. If there's anything you can take away from any of these tests is I want the absolute best advantage to penetrate that armor so that if you guys use this in the real world, any shorter barrel lengths or distances or lesser threats will be stopped. Since this is rifle armor, we shoot at 45 feet. We also shoot at 0 degrees, again, because that is worst case scenario. Any oblique shots only add to the amount of material that bullet has to penetrate through. We also use a giant clay briefcase filled with Roma Plastilina #1 clay from Chavant that acts as our compressible media to put the body armor up against so we can get a representation of what back face. It's the same clay that the NIJ uses, but they have a lab environment where they heat it up to 100 degrees. They drop a ball on it, I think 6 times to measure the dimple to certify that, and we're out in the woods. It's about 75 degrees outside today. The clay has been warming up in the sun, although the rain has probably cooled it off. So we're looking at a general representation of what back face could be. If we stop a threat in my clay and the back face is like 70 millimeters in the real world, in the NIJ's eyes, that probably would be failing. Since this rifle armor employs a ceramic strike face per the NIJ, we've gone ahead and dropped each plate on its face 2 times as a preconditioning test. Some of these other guys on YouTube will take a hammer, not even a sledgehammer, but just a regular framing hammer, and hit their polyethylene plates on the front and back with a hammer in an attempt to precondition it, when in reality polyethylene can take that kind of pressure no problem. It's the ceramic strike faces that we have to worry about. After we perform our drop test, we mark each plate with a DT, and if we've done it more than twice, we indicate so. We also do a torque test. That's where we take the opposing edges of our plate and apply pressure to listen for any cracking. If we don't hear any cracking, we mark each plate with a TQ, meaning they pass the torque test. Both of these plates pass that. You'll note on our plate #1 here that we have a white line on the outer perimeter of this plate. From what I can tell, this plate does not employ a complete edge-to-edge ceramic strike face, meaning for this 10 by 12 size, that ceramic would have to extend all the way out to the edge. So usually what I do is I take a Stanley knife and I kind of stab the outer edge to see where it stops. Normally you can see where this impression is. That's normally where other places will have foam. It looks like AceLink is doing a better job at extending the ceramic as close to the edge as possible. The NIJ will not take shots closer than 2 to 3 inches from the edge, so that's kind of that gray area that a lot of manufacturers will get by to sell you a lighter plate because there's less ceramic there. We also use a chronograph whenever possible because we need to know the velocity of that round. NIJ Level 4 says you got to stop 1 round of M2 armor piercing at 2880 feet per second. And in the past, when I've tested surplus, we're in the 25 to 2780 feet per second range from a 24-inch. So we have uploaded that to ensure that we have that velocity. We have our ProChronoPal Digital DLX, as well as a Garmin Zero C1 from Bass Pro Shops. Cabela's a big thank you for them to sending that over. So we have 2 data sets for velocity. It would seem our light screen chronograph falls behind what our Garmin Zero is capable of measuring. We also put a spreadsheet here at the beginning that we kind of foreshadow all the threats that we're going to shoot at it, and in the end we mark all our velocities and penetrations to the best of our ability, and we do a teardown so we can see what the inside of our plate looks like and we can see how much of that ceramic extends out to the edge. I do want to remind everyone that I am not an NIJ lab, so if you see a threat stopped or penetrated over here, always defer to the manufacturer to produce accredited and recent lab results showing those threat stops. And on the flip side, if you're the manufacturer and you see me stop M855A1 going 3,500 feet per second, you should send that off to have it added as a special rifle threat to your panel. Plate #1 is strapped in and ready to go. Based on some of our prior testing, I think it's appropriate to start our level 4 off with more than one shot of M2 armor piercing. We have our 165 grain full metal jacket armor piercing here. This has a very long and hardened steel penetrating core, right around 60 to 63 RHC. We've got this loaded in our 300 Win Mag. We should meet the 2880 feet per second plus or minus. We've got our Bear Creek Arsenal BC8 and 300 Win Mag. This thing is a behemoth. 2926 per the Garmin. That's a little fast. 2941. Now, we're smoking a little too fast, boys. 2961. Easy enough shots number 1, 2, and 3. I apologize about being overspec. That was 67.5 grains at IMR 4350. 67.4 last time wasn't enough. Place those bets in the comments below. Ho! No oh, ruh-oh, Raggy. We do have 2 pass-throughs on shots number 1 and number 2. That's a little concerning. Again, I'm overspec though. So we'll take a follow-up shot on plate number 2, center of mass, to confirm that we're able to stop it. You know, we're plus or minus 30 and we were almost 100 feet per second. But that shot up there is a good representation of what back face could be. Right around 29, 30 millimeters, not too shabby. This guy down here did have to work to get through, but interesting. This could be the limit for this plate is at the spec M2AP. Let's finish this guy off. Now we'll see how multi-hit capable this level 4 is against our 5.56 threats. Based on what it looks like to be a tile array plate, this should do fairly well at handling these threats. We've got our 55 grain full metal jacket M193, known for popping our steel armor. We've got our M855 SS109 62 grain lead core with a steel penetrator, known for popping our polyethylene plates, which are preferred in your maritime environments where you need to have that floating capability. Then we've got the M855A1 EPR. This is a 62 grain copper core with a larger and harder steel penetrating tip, good at popping all types of barriers in armor and very good terminally effective in gel. 3405 per the Garmin. 3362. And that's it. Oh, we smoked all of our straps. A big thank you to my Patreon supporters. These are like $3 a piece. Tables are 40. All right, let's try to get these hits out of the way. M193, number 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Then our M855, 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Then M855A1, number 1, 2, 3, and then 4. There's not much left of this plate. They're using alumina oxide tiles, like I said. Place those bets in the comments below. No pass-throughs, folks. I think we'll save shot number 1 on plate number 2 for an in-spec M2AP round. But not too shabby, although there's not much of the strike face left. If I can offer any constructive criticism, it's going to be to add a laminating layer to the front and back of our ceramic so that we can keep it adhered and together as long as possible. Our polyethylene has gone limp. We'll save the rest for the teardown. Plate number 2 is strapped in and ready to go. I found some lower charge M2AP. We're going to take 2 more shots at this plate to see if it will stop it. Still way too hot. 2950. We'll go in the opposite corner this time. 2895. That is in spec, folks. I don't normally shoot this threat a whole lot anymore because there are very few plates that are able to stop it. But I figured since this is a fairly robust alumina plate, I wanted to give it a chance. We've got our 13-inch SCAR 17S SBR here, and we've got M993. This is a 130 grain tungsten core penetrator. This is the U.S. Army's current issue AP round in 7.62 NATO. Now, I do believe M1158 has replaced it. It is like 150 grain EPR style, like our M80A1, but I don't have any of that, and I haven't seen any of it in the wild. And of course, there's the Army's new 6.8 by 51. We're working on trying to get some of that as well, but that could be quite a ways in the future. 2717. To foreshadow a little bit, we brought out our 16-inch 308. We're going to take another shot of our M993 AP at the plate. It'll be in the upper left-hand corner. Our favorite buddy Deacon will be taking the shot. Ready when you are, sir. 2823 per my light screen. What's the Garmin say, Deacon?
2839.5.
Good job. Easy enough on this so far. M2 AP shot number 1. Number 2, our M993, number 13 and 16-inch right there. Good shooting, Deacon, right where we wanted it to be. We're smoking straps today, though, folks. Gonna be an expensive day. If you haven't heard me say before, those M993 shots are right around $70 a piece. So that's $140 into this plate, just for you guys. Place those bets in the comments below. Ho! No pass-throughs, folks. Now it looks like that 16-inch shot of M993 almost penetrated based on how bulged that is. Good that we stopped that first round of M2 AP. Now there are varying different manufacturers over the last, 80 years or so of M2 AP, although it's been discontinued for some time. So there could be variances in the core hardness. I don't store any of the lots. I buy the bullets as I can get them and store them. And we were above spec this time. Stopped 2 of those. Great. As far as our back face goes, the M993 shot up here was 37.85. The first shot of M2 AP 20, and then over here 32. Very, very survivable. 28.8 millimeters. Very impressive. Again, this clay is a little on the colder side. It is pretty pliable right now, so the actual NIJ lab results could be different. At this point, our alumina strike face is showing it's doing a good job at stopping threats. The disadvantage to alumina is its weight. Let's finish this off with some 300 wind chad loads. We've got our M80A1 that is originally in 7.62 NATO. We've got it up to our 300 Win Mag velocities, as well as our M14A1 API. Mr. Flashy Flash is 152 grains with a hardened steel penetrator, much like the shape of M993, but only tool steel. 3493. Woo-hoo-hoo. 3325.
So much fire, so satisfying.
We were pretty close to our M2 AP shot down here, but I felt because this was a tile ray plate that we had a chance of stopping our M80A1 as well as our M14A1. I really wanted to be over there. I'm not sure why I pulled that. Place those bets in the comments below. Uh-oh, Raggy. That one actually left sideways, and that one just kind of bunched up and went straight through. I think at this point, it's kind of against our best wishes to continue to shoot this. We've stopped 5.56. We stopped our M993 from the 16-inch. We stopped M2 AP. I don't think this design will stop our Plus P Plus variant of that, so let's tear this guy down.
Paging Dr. Matt to surgery, paging Dr. Matt to surgery.
Now, for a fan favorite, the teardown. That's where we get to look at our guts of our plates and confirm any penetrations and material types. Here is the back cover of our AceLink Level 4. Here is our backer for number 2. Confirmed our only penetrations were the M14A1 as well as the M80A1. This looks to be polyethylene. I would say it's actually pressed fairly well. We're still maintaining our shape, although we didn't shoot a bunch of shots on this plate. It's a little bit soft, but otherwise still fairly rigid. I measured that right around 440 thousandths. Not too bad. You can see the destruction that that armor-piercing incendiary causes right there. But impressive that we stopped M993 from the 16-inch. Here is our strike face. We are using our alumina, rectangle, square, and other geometric shaped tiles. I measured those right around 400 thousandths thick, pretty darn thick. Now, as I mentioned, we talk about this reduced strike face and this foam ring here. You can see that that is right there, a little thicker up here and there. I measured that right around 430 thousandths on each side. So on this 10 by 12 plate, you really only have a 9 by 11 in theory of ceramic coverage, but because of how the unpredictability of edge shots go, again, the NIJ is not going to shoot that close to the edge. You can see a majority of our tiles are still intact. I don't detect any drop face foam on there. There is some kind of like laminating layer, but I think you should laminate the front and back of our ceramic tiles, and the more adhesives and heat and pressure we can use to bond all these layers, the better. This plate didn't take a whole lot to get into. Plate number 1, our penetrations were those 2 rounds of M2 AP. Otherwise, that second round up here was stopped and none of the 5.56 made it through. This one is still fairly rigid. We're not able to thumb through it like a book, but it is coming apart. You can see with those multi-hit scenarios how much of those tiles get destroyed. I think that M2 armor piercing might have squeaked through because it's kind of on the intersection of those tiles. And again, doing the drop test, I wonder if we cause some of this separation to happen to a little bit or something, but those squeak through. There is our foam layer, as I mentioned, and there is the front of the strike face. Again, that is not any foam. I don't think for this particular design they need any. I think laminating layers would be best. Well, folks, we're gonna have to make this one quick because Deacon and I are getting poured on and we gotta clean up our stuff and get the heck out of here. But our AceLink single curve alumina level 4 plate, I'm gonna place that right in line with what I've seen with other budget level 4 plates that are imported. We're able to stop a tirade of 5.56 threats and even our M2 armor piercing, but there seems to be a very fine line on what that velocity spec is for stopping that particular bullet. It would seem, based on where those tiles are placed, if one of those rounds gets just right on that line and it's not adhered as well, it tends to find its way through. In retrospect, I'm shooting at or above the M2 AP velocity spec for the NIJ, which is 2880 feet per second. In the real world, like I've mentioned, we've used a 24-inch M1 Grand or 1903 in the past, and that surplus ammunition is going to be anywhere from 2500 to right around 2775 feet per second. And mind you, that's, you know, at contact distance. If you add some range on there, that bullet is only going to slow down and the likelihood that it's not going to pass through is going to increase. It was impressive that we were able to stop our M993 from our 13-inch as well as our 16-inch. In the past, I pretty much stopped using that because we were bringing it out and shooting, you know, $70 a shot at some of these plates and was going through, and it seemed to be kind of a moot point. So it's good that it's able to stop that. I think that if we find a way to laminate the front and back side of our tiles and bond that better to our backer, we would have a much better plate. With all that being said, I'm gonna get the heck out of here, but at the end of all my videos, I take a moment to thank all those who help make this possible, because there's a lot that goes into them. Number 1 is my family. Deacon got to come out here and do some shooting 1 week before school starts, and any time that I can spend with him is greatly appreciated. Number 2 are my Patreon, Subscribe Star, and YouTube channel members. They help support a lot of the consumable funds that we have out here. I have a campsite in the description below. It's a landing page, just like other content creators, and there are affiliate codes or discount tracking links in there that earn me a sales commission, and what I do with that is I put it right back in the channel. In full transparency, I do have one with AceLink. I think I've had one through them for about 2 years, and that's kind of how this whole started, with them asking me to demo some of their plates. I'm not here to push you guys towards the sale, but if you like what you saw and you were going to make a purchase for these plates, then that discount link or tracking cookie helps earn me some sales commission, and I'm going to buy more M2 armor piercing. Number 3 is AceLink. Again, in full transparency, sent me those plates to destroy with no strings attached. And of course, number 4 is you all for watching. Until next time, I'll catch you at the range.